As the sun rises over the Hindu Kush, a small Afghan mountain village begins another day shaped by long habit and endurance. In this remote place, survival depends on patience, labor, and an intimate knowledge of the land. Inside the home, the day begins before sunrise, with work that anchors the household from its very first hour. Breakfast is prepared by hand, with simple ingredients shaped into food meant to sustain a long morning of work. Warm bread and tea bring the first comfort of the day, holding back the chill that lingers in the mountain air. Their partnership is quiet but essential, built through daily work shared across years of hardship. Outside the village, the younger generation takes on its own responsibilities, guiding animals toward sparse pasture. Flocks like these remain central to mountain life, providing food, wool, and continuity across generations. In the village center, older men begin the day slowly, arranging the modest goods that support local exchange. The clay walls and narrow lanes still carry the look of a settlement shaped more by necessity than by design. By morning, the men are already on their way toward the fields, where the day's labor will be measured in effort rather than ease. Water from the mountains gives life to the terraces below, making cultivation possible in an unforgiving landscape. At the river, domestic work is no less demanding, shaped by strength, repetition, and the absence of modern convenience. Every task asks for endurance, and that endurance is written into the rhythm of everyday village life. Even among worn walls and old ruins, childhood finds room for play in the dust of the village edge. By midday, the mountain light grows harsh, and the heat begins to press down on the village. In the fields, work continues despite fatigue, because the land yields only to persistence. Dry soil, stone, and dust turn every harvest into something earned through physical effort. Back inside, the midday meal is prepared with the same care that shapes every part of the household. The cooking is precise and patient, preserving flavors and methods passed down over many years. Food moves from the home into the open village square, linking domestic labor to the larger life of the community. A simple meal shared in the shade offers brief relief from the heat and effort of the day. Trade still arrives in forms that feel ancient here, moving at the pace of animals, paths, and habit. Exchange in the village remains practical and direct, centered on the goods most necessary for the household. Color and scent briefly brighten the square, hinting at the wider trade routes that still touch places like this. Nearby, tools are repaired by hand, because in a village like this, maintaining what exists is as important as making something new. Even the smallest repair carries weight when daily work depends on the reliability of each worn tool. As the day lengthens, fuel is gathered for the cold that will return with nightfall. By late afternoon, exhaustion settles into the body, and the work of the fields gives way to the walk home. Long shadows stretch across the village as the heat begins to loosen its grip. Inside the home, the strain of the day is visible, but so is the quiet care that holds the household together. Evening brings preparation for the main meal, and with it, a return to the dishes most closely tied to hospitality and family life. The ingredients are prepared carefully, each one contributing to a dish known as much for memory as for taste. In the home, knowledge moves quietly from one generation to the next through repeated daily practice. Over the hearth, the meal begins to take shape in a process that depends on timing, heat, and experience. In the golden light of late day, the small village seems briefly suspended between labor and rest. As evening approaches, the shepherd returns, bringing the flock back toward the safety of the village. The animals move through the dusty lanes in uneven clusters, re-entering the village before darkness settles in. On shaded porches, the older women continue the patient handwork that has long bound beauty, memory, and daily necessity together. In the kitchen, even the washing of rice is deliberate, careful work, shaped by the value of every grain and every drop of water. She tends the pot with steady control, guiding the meal through its final stage with the confidence of long practice. Layer by layer, sweetness and fragrance settle over the rice, giving the dish its unmistakable Afghan character. As twilight deepens, the village grows quieter, and the day narrows inward toward the home. The evening meal is prepared with care, and the place where it will be shared is arranged with equal attention. At last, the main dish is set down at the center of the cloth, ready to gather the household around it. In the warmth of lamplight, husband and wife sit together at the close of the day, sharing the meal their labor has made possible. The first handful is taken in quiet gratitude, marking the beginning of the evening meal. Around the food, the hardness of the day gives way to a gentler domestic calm. In homes like this, the evening meal is more than food. It is the quiet center of family life, where hardship briefly gives way to peace. After the meal, the evening turns inward. In quiet moments like this, faith remains a steady source of dignity, discipline, and inner strength. Even in stillness, belief is present here, woven into the quiet spaces that steady daily life. When the meal is over, the work of the household continues in small, unbroken gestures. As evening settles more deeply over the house, husband and wife share a final quiet ritual before night. Beyond the walls of the home, the mountains fall into evening silence, holding the village in a vast and ancient stillness. As the evening deepens, the mountains return to silence, watched over by the wild creatures that have long belonged to this unforgiving land. Inside the home, night gathers softly around the ordinary things that shape the family's daily life. Outside, the village lanes empty into darkness, and the wind becomes the loudest voice of the night. As the household settles, warmth is guarded carefully against the cold that rises from the mountain night. In the last light of evening, the small flame is allowed to fade, and the room yields to darkness. From above, the village appears fragile and small, resting quietly beneath the vast mountain night. Far from city light, the night sky opens fully, revealing the immense scale of the world above the village. The mountains hold their silence through the night, their dark ridges unchanged by human time. High above the settlement, wildlife continues on its own terms, unseen by most of those below. Closer to the village, watchful animals guard the edges of sleep and keep to the duties of the night. In this remote valley, the wider world feels impossibly far away. The cold of the highlands settles onto every surface, testing walls, wood, and breath alike. Sleep offers the only full pause in a life governed by physical work and repetition. Above the roofs, the stars continue their slow passage as the night carries on. At last, the darkness begins to thin, and the first trace of dawn touches the valley. Before sunrise, the mountains gather a faint new light, and another day begins to announce itself. Morning first arrives not with movement, but with sound breaking the long silence of the night. With the shutters open to the dawn, the house turns once more toward the day ahead. In the courtyard, preparation begins again in the same familiar gestures that mark each morning. In the morning light, the village appears small against the scale of the Hindu Kush, yet enduring within it. Here in the mountains, one day closes only so that another may begin in the same quiet cycle of work, care, and survival.